mic stand. Let's put it on the mic stand. Keep it on. Just stick it on the mic stand. Let the church say amen. Amen. Come on, say amen again. Amen. Come on, say it like you mean it. Amen. Say it like you believe that Paul is in a better place. Come on, shout amen up in this place. I don't know about you, but my program says that this is a celebration of life. And believe it or not, you're not born when you come out of your mother's womb. That's not the kind of life we're talking about today. We're talking about a life that will never, ever end. That is a life everlasting. So we're celebrating life today for someone that we are excited that he is now experiencing a life that will never end. He's experiencing a warmth and a joy that will never go away. He's experiencing a health that will never go away. Bright sunny days that will never go away. And I don't know about you, but on this side, we got to deal with stuff like Corona. We got to deal with stuff like social distancing. But Paul doesn't have to deal with that no more because he has made a transition and we celebrate life and life everlasting. I don't know about you, but I'm glad about that today. If I got to be glad all by myself, I'm glad about that today. That we can celebrate with my cousin, my brother, our church member, our fellow choir member, our partner in when we went to reunions and all that. It's just wonderful to know that God has given us a gift that we can never, ever forget, who is now living a life that will never, ever end. Today, I definitely want to, first of all, be thankful to the family. It's unique because this is my family, and after the dozens and dozens, I'm not like Dr. Gerton. I haven't done hundreds and hundreds of funerals, but I've certainly done dozens and dozens. This is the hardest that I've had to do because this is the closest person that I have ever had to funeralize who is this close to me. So y'all can imagine what it's like for me right now to have to funeralize someone that is so close to me, not only in age, but close to me in families. It's already been stated before. There was no Thanksgiving. There was no Christmas. There was no reunion. There was no gathering that was without us together in some way or another. So I need y'all to understand that that y'all are grieving on the outside, but I'm also grieving on the inside. Is that all right for me to say? That tears are flowing for you on the outside, but there's something that's working on me on the inside that allows me to do what I'm doing right now. But trust me, this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And so if y'all pray with me and pray for me, we'll make it through this moment in time. Amen. Again, I just want to thank the family for allowing me to be a part of this service and allowing me to be a part of this so very important moment in all of our lives. But today I do want to speak today about the times that we're in. I don't want to spend too much time just sharing stories. I want us to understand from a biblical perspective what this moment really means to all of us. Whether you are outside honking your horn in your car or you're in here right now sitting with us or you're watching online, I do believe that right now what we are dealing with in the life of Paul, and I don't take his name lightly because he's named after one of the most prolific writers of the New Testament of our Bible, who has said so many things that have been so instructive to the church. This life of our own Paul has done so many things that have been so instructive instructful to our lives. And so I see a parallel between what the Bible has to say and the life that was lived and is now laid out in front of us. And I want to share that with y'all today. And if y'all don't mind, say amen. And that will help me out today. Is that all right? All right. I do believe that right now, in unique times like these, this is a time where I know one thing for certain. One thing I know, that in times like these, we need each other. It's in times like these where I need you, and you, whether you want to admit it or not, you need me. I hope they can hear me outside like y'all can hear me on the inside, right? We are a people that, believe it or not, need each other. I don't know about you, but I was watching as the service was going on, and I started to notice how every now and then when a spirit started to shift in the room, you could see people looking at each other and looking at each other, because even though we're in proximity to one another, we still want to be closer. Why? Because we need each other. Here's what I know. It's in times like these that we are reminded that we don't need each other when everything is going all right. We don't need each other when the cupboards are full. We don't need each other when our bank accounts are full. We don't need each other when everything is going right and my health is well. What I have found out is that it's when your bank is empty. It's when your heart is broken. It's when you're confused. It's when you got more questions and answers. It's in times like these that we need each other. Am I right about it? And it is good to know that when we need each other, that we can find someone to pull close to us when we are in need of each other. Is this making sense to you all? Yes, sir. It's in times like these when our dreams are dashed and our future is uncertain and the tears are falling that we need each other. And I know I'm in the Bible because the Bible says that God knew that we would need one another all the way back in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. Can I tell y'all what it says? It says, it is not good that man, what? Be alone. So he sought to make sure that man had a helpmeet, somebody that could be there when the man needed somebody. Is this making sense to somebody in here? And so, believe it or not, God made you for me, and God made me for you. Now, I know y'all can't see each other's mouths right now because you got it covered up with these masks. But if you don't mind, why don't you look at somebody next to you and say, God made you for me. Come on, look at them. Say, God made you for me. And tell the other person, and God made me for you. Don't let nobody tell you they don't need nobody. Don't let nobody tell you that they got this thing figured out all by themselves. Is this making sense? I understand that grief can make you say a lot of crazy stuff. But when you're grieving, don't let nobody grieve and make you think that they are all good all by themselves. Because that is a lie from the pit of hell. You need somebody. You need somebody. And so, God made somebody for everybody. And here's what I like. I believe that Paul was somebody that God made for everybody. I think I just said something. I believe that God made Paul, somebody for everybody. Is this making sense? Because when you need somebody, you don't need them to be next to you and not with you. Right. Oh, I said something. Y'all just missed it. When you need somebody, when you need somebody, you don't need somebody to say they will be your ride and die. And when you look up, they ain't in the car. Is this making sense? You need somebody that's going to be what we call present, right? Accounted for, right? Is this making sense? And Paul was the kind of person that at home he was present. Right? Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? At home, he was present, right? At special events, he was present. Does this make sense? I know at the family reunions, he was present. He was there. He was accounted for on Thanksgiving. He was there. He was present. And I don't know about you. If I've got somebody in my life to tell me they're going to be with me, I want you to be present when I need you. Is this making sense? At church, he was present. It was good to be able to turn around to the tennis section because I knew Paul was going to be present. Y'all know what present mean. Y'all know what present mean when you went to school. When you went to school and went to class. You had to be, it didn't matter if you asked for a pass to the bathroom and you left and you didn't come back. The issue was, were you there when your name was called? When they called you, did you say present? I could call Paul in all of those various situations and he could say present because he was somebody God made present for everybody. I believe that Paul was the epitome of fellowship. Yeah, fellowship. This is a word that the Bible calls koinonia, right? Fellowship, koinonia, right? And so many of us are suffering from a condition right now called monophobia. Oh no, I done messed y'all up. Monophobia. Y'all look that up. Monophobia. What does that mean? That means that we often suffer from a condition that is the fear of being alone. We suffer from that fear. And even though Devon Paul Cummings Sr. has left us physically, and some of us have monophobia, we afraid that he done left us alone. Y'all don't hear me today. Y'all better hear this. Too many of us are suffering from that. And we think that Paul has left us physically alone. I need you to know he didn't leave us alone. He didn't leave us by ourselves. I'm glad I got at least one or two people that are celebrating that Paul didn't leave us by ourselves. I know it feels like he left you by yourself, but he did not leave you alone. I can hear him singing in the choir right now. Y'all know I can't sing, so I ain't going to sing it, but I'm going to tell y'all the words to it. I remember the song when I was growing up, Never Alone. It said, I don't have to worry because I'm never alone. And it was doom, 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 never alone, right? It was about says he walks beside me. Anybody know that? All the way he guides my footsteps every day, right? Never alone. I can hear Paul in the tenor section in the choir in heaven singing Never Alone right now. Because he knew he did not leave us alone. And trust me, I get it. Y'all hurting. Trust me, I get it. I'm hurting too. Trust me, I get it. We're grieving. Trust me, I get it. Our hearts are heavy, eyes filled with tears. We're crying after crying, and we done cried all the tears out of our eyes. And we feel like Paul has left us alone. But, somebody say but. Somebody say but. But we benefit from a fellowship Paul is now singing about in heaven. This fellowship called koinonia. And I want to share 3 fellowships with y'all today. And hopefully this will lift somebody up. Because I believe, and I know, no, I don't believe this. I know this from the life of my cousin, Paul Cummings, who we call Paul Cummings. I know this, that he understood at least 3 of these fellowships that the Bible talks about. Y'all want to talk about it real quick? Here it is. The Bible helps us with these 3. And I want to help y'all with this right now because Paul, number 1, understood fellowshipping with the Father. He understood fellowship with the Father. What does that mean? The Bible helps us to understand that Jesus gives a model prayer. And in the first few words of the model prayer, I believe that Paul understood these first few words of the model prayer. The first thing it says, our Father. If you're going to fellowship with God, you have to acknowledge him as our Father. What does that mean? That means that Paul understood that a father promises some things to us as his children. He promises that he will be with you. He promises that he will instruct you. He promises that you can feel him, that you can call him, that you can hear him when he is your father. Sometimes the father got to call you a couple times and then eventually have to call you by all your names to get your attention But the good news is that a father, when you have fellowship with your father, when you hear your father's voice, you know that's who's calling you. Paul understood fellowship with the Father. The second thing I believe that Paul understood, he also understood these few words, who art in heaven. He understood that because in order to fellowship with your father, you got to know where your father is. The Bible says in heaven, so in heaven signifies that this is someone that you can look up to, someone that you can regard, someone that you can learn from, someone that you can grow from, someone that is in a position that you can aspire to. Anybody know a father like that? All right. Amen. And here's the third thing from the model prayer. Hallowed be thy name. Paul understood that a father promises to be available to you when you call his name. Oh my God, I don't know if anybody's ever called on his name when you needed him. And by myself, do I have at least a couple people in here who's ever had to holler his name? You had to holler out his name when you needed help, so you had to holler for some help. Paul understood that I can fellowship with the Father by hollering out his name. The Father is there when you holler for help. No doubt that's where many of us are right now. Many of us are in places where we need help. And I'm just trying to help you understand right now that whatever you're going through, God is that kind of Father that when you holler out his name, he will say, I am here with you. Don't ever underestimate the opportunity to holler out his name. So the first thing is that Paul understood fellowshipping with the Father. But the second thing that he understood was fellowshipping with the Son. So he understood a father, but he also understood a son. In other words, the son or the daughter or the children or the child, they have promises too. And they have to promise that I will do what my father says to do. Oh, y'all don't want to go with me today. See, I feel like Paul understood through his life and through his walk that he understood as a son of the king, as a son who had a father, that is my responsibility, that when my father said go, I had to go when my father said go. Right? When my father said sing, I had to sing when my father said to sing. When my father said go to church, I had to go to church when my father said to go to church. Is this making sense? When the father said to serve, I had to serve when the father said to serve, because if I'm going to have fellowship with the son, I got to know how the son relates to the father. And I'm done on this one. Here's the third one. So Paul understood fellowshipping with the Father. I believe Paul understood fellowshipping with the Son. But most importantly, Paul understood fellowshipping with the Spirit. Fellowshipping with the Spirit. If you don't understand anything that I got to say today, if you don't get nothing out of what I got to say, again, I don't care if you're in here, watching online, outside, sitting in your car, no matter where you are, if you don't get nothing, get this one: fellowship with the Spirit. What does that mean? That means that Paul understood the power of the Spirit. Is this making sense? You can fellowship with the Father. You can fellowship with the Son. But it's the Spirit that you got to stay connected to. All right? It's the Spirit that you have to remain connected to. Because from the moment that you are saved, God gives you the gift of his Spirit, which opens up the lines of communication with God the Father. And I know some of us, you got these artists that you listen to when you going through, you go into your moment, you go into your closet, you start humming, you go into your ritual, your sanctuary, you go to do what you need to do in order to get through at work. You tired of being sick and tired at work. You tired of your supervisor. You tired of your boss. You tired of going through. You tired of not having enough money to pay your bill. You tired of the people in your life. You tired of the relationship you in. You tired of them folk that get on your, not on your nerve, but get on your last nerve. You tired of all this stuff coming in your mailbox. I know you tired of this. You tired of Corona. You tired of social distancing. You tired of the mayor. You tired of Trump. You tired of the governor. You tired of watching TV, right? You just so tired of being in the house. You got cabin. You tired of Zoom because you tired of doing meetings. I know. We all tired. But what do you do? Watch this. Where do you go when you ain't just tired, but you tired of being sick and tired? Where do you go? I'm just trying to help somebody. Where do you go? Look, when your heart is shown up, bro, where do you go? I go to Luther Vandross, pastor. I'm trying to help y'all, tell y'all that ain't the one.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, see, y'all ain't liking Luther Vandross, right? But I can go some other places and we'll see if y'all like those. Right? Because these are the places when our heart is broken, when we're tired, these are the places that we run. And I'm trying to help somebody understand right now that where you're supposed to run is to the Spirit. Because the Spirit is the one that will whisper to you in the midst of what you are going through. Lo, I am with you always. Is this making sense to somebody? It's the Spirit, no matter what you're going through. It's the Spirit that will rock you in the middle of the night. It's the Spirit that will come to you when your pillow is wet with tears. It's the Spirit that when you can't feel the Father, when you can't feel the Son, when you can't hear the Father, when you can't hear the Son, it's the Spirit that opens up the windows of heaven and begins to pour you out blessings that you cannot receive. You must be in connection with the Spirit.
All right.
Because it's the Spirit. It's what God put inside of Paul that he left with us. His physical body might be gone, but it's what God put inside of him that we celebrate today. It's the same Spirit that Jesus said on the cross, I'm not going to leave you without leaving you something behind. He says, there's something that I'm going to leave that's going to dwell on the inside. Okay, y'all not getting what I'm talking about. There's something on the inside of us that God says I'm going to leave. It's called the Spirit. I know this is hard to get. I know it's hard to get. And so I had to figure out a way to explain this. And so the only thing I can think of in my mind's eye, I had to go all the way back about 30 years ago. Listen to this real quick and I'm done. This is it. I'm done. I'm leaving you alone. Watch this. So about 30 years ago or so, my wife, one of her first jobs out of college was a company called Campbell's Soup Company. Yeah, she don't know I'm about to tell this story. She don't know. So y'all pray for her. She don't know where this is about to go. But she started working at this company called Campbell's Soup Company. And at Campbell's Soup Company, I didn't really know what she did. I just thought, man, she got a really good job, but she worked for Campbell's Soup Company. So she's doing her job at Campbell's Soup Company. And what they would do, and I didn't know this till later, what they would do is that they would send my wife into the stores to look at the display of all the Campbell soup cans. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? All the Campbell soup cans. So her job was to go in. Are y'all with me? Her job was to go in and look at the displays of the Campbell soup cans. Well, what they had told my wife that I did not understand, or nor did I know, was that when she went into the store to look at the Campbell soup can display, if she saw a can that had been dented or a can that had been mislabeled or a can where the label had been ripped off or a can that had some defects or problems, they told my wife, take that can off the shelf. Do y'all hear me? So my wife proceeded to take the cans that were dented and the cans that were mislabeled and had issues off the shelf, and she would put them in her trunk. And so my wife did this for weeks and weeks. She did this for month after month. She would go into a store after store after store, and she would look at the can. She would see a can with a defect. She would take the can off the shelf, and she would put it in her trunk. She would do it again. Y'all not hearing where I'm going. Y'all better stay with this. And so one day, y'all got to understand, one day her boyfriend got sick. And I don't know about you, but my mama told me that when you sick, what you need is some chicken soup. Y'all ain't hearing what I'm saying. She said, you need some chicken soup. Well, I'm a poor college student. I ain't got money for no chicken soup. No less, I ain't got no money for no Campbell's chicken soup. But I had a girlfriend who worked for Campbell's Soup Company. I'm not getting this. And so I told my girlfriend, I don't feel well. I think I got a cold. And my mama told me that the best thing for my cold was for me to eat some chicken soup. But I'm a poor college student and I ain't got no money to buy no chicken soup. My wife said, what my girlfriend at the time said, don't worry, I got your back. She drove her car over to my house, popped open the trunk. And there was a trunk full of Campbell's chicken soup. But here's the problem. I'm trying to figure out, where'd you get all this soup from? She said, here's what happened. I went to the store. My supervisor told me that when you went in and you saw some cans that had some problems, that had some dents, that were mislabeled, they told me to take them off the shelf. And I said, well, why did they tell you to take them off the shelf? She said, because don't nobody want them. Won't nobody buy them. I said, you mean to tell me that people don't want dented cans? She says, nope, they will not buy cans that got problems. She said, but here's the good news. If you take the can, it doesn't matter what the condition of the can is. It don't matter if the can got the corona. It don't matter if the can got the flu. It don't matter if the can got a cold. It don't matter if the can got cancer or diabetes or heart disease. It don't matter what the condition of the can is. She said, just crack it open. I got to use my N95. Just crack it open. Why? Because what's important ain't what's going on the outside of the can. What's important is what's on the inside of the can. Because the soup that's in the can is just as good no matter what the condition on the outside of the can is. And so here's what I'm saying. Paul has left us something on the inside that don't make it so it don't matter what happened on the outside. This is just a can. It was the spirit that was the chicken soup. And some of us are going to be sick. Some of us are going to cry. And all you got to do is pop open the can.
That's all right. Come on. That's all right. That's all right.
Woo. All you got to do is pop open the can. Because what was in him, he has left it for all of us. It was what was in him that was valuable, not what was on the outside. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the can, but what's in the can is where the value is. And so I hope y'all got that today, because that's what today is about. It's about recognizing fellowshipping with the Father, fellowshipping with the Son, but more importantly, fellowshipping with the Spirit that God places down on the inside of all of us, because that is where the value is. That's where the communicate. Put your hands together for God. Put your hands together for God.